Hello, in this video we're going to do a quick summary of a couple of the meetings that were early in the month. I must admit, a little bit behind with doing the summary videos. Now the first one we're going to feature is the Licensing and Governance Committee, otherwise known as the Chief Extortionists. That's my pet name for them, you'll see why by the end of this video. And also there was a small win for those on the Planning Committee, so it feels only fair to share it with you.
The pavement licence policy came into force basically during COVID when the government
ran out of excuses to party and came up with another way to screw small businesses.
Brought in the Business and Planning Act 2020, because they wanted people to be able to use outdoor facilities.
You mean like they could prior to COVID lockdowns, so why not just go back to that?
So they could socially distance.
Oh, I see. Rather than going back to normal, you need a licence for that now. So it makes perfect sense that you would need to buy a £100 licence in order to make sure your chairs and tables were correctly socially distanced.
The Act has been updated several times.
To do a better job of screwing small businesses.
And it was thought that now would be a good time to revisit it in light of the latest extension.
Why is it being extended? People are done with COVID. So much so that it doesn't matter how many scary varieties the mainstream media puts out, no one gives a toss, and also no one is doing social distancing. So why then are businesses expected to pay for a licence to something that no longer exists? Presumably that's the first thing one of you will also ask.
We did wonder how proportionate some of our charges were, and for very tiddly little businesses, it was becoming a disproportionate cost.
Thank you, Councillor. This particular legislation, the government has indicated the maximum fee that can be charged, which is £100 per application, and that is how we've set the fee.
So you've set the fee for the maximum amount for businesses that suffered massively during COVID and are still struggling financially, and there's no real good reason to still be charging them this money now, is there?
Okay, but it's discretionary then, we can just decide how much.
So it's basically been set at 100 straight through, whether you have one chair or 15 to 20 chairs.
If you're a large organisation, say like the George, it's a flea on the dog's back.
A blood-sucking parasite is indeed the perfect analogy.
Whereas if you're a little organisation like Alice's Tea Shop in Trout Street, and when they've got half a dozen tables, it's a lot of money. So if there is a way of looking if we can possibly be a bit more proportionate in that, I think that would be.
Oh, there's definitely a way, if only there was a will. Don't charge them anything.
Because obviously if it's statutory at 100, then we're obviously stuck. If there's wriggle room, then obviously we can base it on the specific premises.
Councillor Burrows?
Thank you. I just wanted to second what you said, Councillor Buston. I think I'd really like to see us supporting our smaller businesses. I think it's imperative, and if there is wiggle room, I would second that, absolutely.
Any discretion in the £100, surely the council needs all the income it can get, given our financial situation. So even if there is wriggle room, I think we should charge the statutory figure. If there are any other councils that don't around us, then perhaps we should look at it. But £100 seems reasonable to me.
Would that be the financial situation that the council caused itself? By overspending on vanity projects and getting in enormous debt, the interest of which is absolutely crippling. And it's perfectly reasonable to you that small businesses should have to pay for the council's ineptitude, if you can get away with it because other councils are.
Authorities for simplicity, which is one of the things we should bear in mind, ease of administration and clarity for those who are looking to work. If they require a licence, not have to get into house size or scale. It's easier. It's 30 pence a day. So I am pleased to be alongside Councillor Young again in saying actually every little might count.
Councillor Barris?
Sorry, I arrived late to the party and I'm very gobby today. I do apologise.
Well, whilst you might have arrived late, Councillor Burrows, you are not being gobby. You are articulately putting across very valid points to help people. There's really no need to apologise for that.
On the idea of charging £100 flat fee, I do think we have to take into consideration that the George, which is a bigger business and can swallow that £100 easily, but Alice's Tea Shop, for example, where you're looking at maybe £10, £20 cover, is very different. And I think if we could offer maybe a £50 for a certain amount of tables and £100 that would at least go to show some support of our smaller, more independent businesses, to which that £50 could make a difference.
I believed it was the statutory limit that was set, and therefore that's what was being enforced by all parties using the legislation. However, if I can find it and there's a wriggle, I'll look for it.
Thank you very much, that's helpful.
And just when you think we've resolved this issue reasonably well, no, it's still not done with the penny pinching.
This fee of £100, is this per year or a week or a year?
Yeah.
So that works out about 30 pence a day. So I can't see why you want to give someone a discount. That's 30 pence a day. If you've got 2 tables outside, that's 15 pence a table or extra sitting or whatever, you know. I mean, £100 is very, very reasonable.
It's only 30 pence a day if the council charges 30 pence a day, but you don't. You charge in one lump sum. And do the people of Colchester sit outside on the pavement having their teas and coffees every single day of the year? No, they do not. So yes, £100 doesn't seem like a big deal, but as Councillor Burrows and many others pointed out to you, £100 is a lot for a small business, and it comes out in one big chunk. Now, if you've ever tried running a coffee shop, it is not easy. I had the delight of having to do that for one of the businesses I worked for when they lost their manager, and it was hard work making it profitable. We had to do portion control to degrees you would not imagine. So it's a difficult business, and if the council grabs money from small businesses, they will close. And as someone who tries not to shop in Colchester because, frankly, it's just not fun, I had to come in the other day with my dear mother, and we walked around, and it just was depressing, especially around the area where Wilkinson's is. And for a start, the car park now no longer has the £3 to park for the entire day unless you have the app. My elderly parents do not have the app on their phone, and I refuse. So we put the minimum amount of money in, and we got in and out of Colchester as quickly as physically possible. Had you left the machines alone, and we could have done the £3 to park for the whole day, we might have been inspired to go round to more shops, and we might have also stopped for lunch. So you are doing everything in your power to make it difficult for people and small businesses, and Colchester will get worse and worse. And if small businesses go under, or any size business for that matter, you are not going to get your rates. So that £100 grabbing when you don't have to charge the £100 is just death by 1,000 paper cuts, because these businesses do not have just that one expense. There are loads of overheads. So you really do need to consider this as a council. Don't penalise the public for your financial situation.
Anybody for? Okay, looks like that was agreed unanimously again. Thank you very much for the...
So time will tell if officers do find any wiggle room, but I have a sneaking suspicion all those applications will remain at £100. So in the video description, I'm going to pop in the summary notes that I get from our wonderful viewing team, Suze and Sharon, who sit through all of these videos and make copious notes for me. But obviously I can't fit everything in, and some things are worth going into deeper detail if you're interested. Now on to the planning meeting from the 9th of November. Now this was for 9 houses to be situated just off of Gosbeck's View.
So the lane is considered a public walkway. The roadway itself has no drainage and floods regularly. The whole width of the lane is used by pedestrians when they're walking up and down. Any increase in traffic puts these pedestrians and cyclists, if they're there, in danger of the single lane traffic. The road itself is very narrow. There's no footpath on the road. It means there's nowhere to stand to avoid the oncoming traffic. You have to be on the road. And despite the revisions that the plan has had, it doesn't seem to address this issue.
The Highways Authority at Essex County Council have raised no objection on the basis that the proposal as presented this evening, along with the suggested conditions, would protect the safety of pedestrians and other vehicles.
You gotta love the optimism of Essex Highways. It's fine, you can get a bus through there, and there's plenty of room in the hedge for the pedestrians.
I called this in due to the fact that I had never received such an overwhelming concern from an application before, within hours of it going live on the CCC website. No new footpath is proposed. These are family homes. There will be a considerable increase in people that need to walk down Gosbeck's View. This includes children, pushchairs and the like. If there's no room to manoeuvre, quite literally, this mustn't go ahead.
If a visitor comes there, where are they going to put their car? Right in that lay-by. There's nothing to stop them. They're only blocking their friend's car in plots 1 to 3. So think about that for a second.
There were many more arguments for and against, so once again I'll put the full notes in the description so that you can home in on the bits you're most interested in. I will admit I did take quite a lot of delight when Councillor Hagan and others used the LTN 120 rules and turned them onto the council, pointing out this development didn't meet their own standards.
Lighting specifically, LTN 120 on the safety aspect. We've got to do the right thing. We do it everywhere else in the city. We've got to make sure we do it right. Every development should be done right.
Well, I'd like access to be part of it, because if it isn't, when it comes back, we won't be allowed to discuss access because it wasn't on the original deferral. So I'd like access, even though you're saying you can't do anything about it. I don't see why not. So could we add access, please?
And then we have the situation where emergency services have given approval. No, they haven't. What they have done is agreed conditionally. So it's not approved. So let's not play games with words. So I don't think this is fit for purpose under any rules.
The deferral is correct. We need to go back to the drawing board.
Now, we are ready to move to the vote. All those in favour of deferral with all the conditions attached, please raise your hands. And that's unanimous.
Unanimous, Chair.
So well done, councillors, you got this one, and I'm sure the residents of Colchester will be most appreciative, especially those who live down Gosbeck's View. So until next time, take care.